We're live?
And we're live.
We're live. Welcome to another episode of the Point by Point Tennis Podcast. Today, via live stream on YouTube.
Yeah.
So today we're going to be discussing the Miami Open results, and we're going to jump into the preview of the Monte Carlo Masters 1000 event.
Start off the clay season.
We're going to start off the clay season. So we'll start with some biggest stories just to get a little bit of a recap of everything that happened, everything that's coming up, and some of the important things that we're going to be talking about. And then we'll jump into the recap of Miami. We'll talk a little bit about what is the state of play for the first quarter of the season now that we've ended sort of the hard court swing. We're moving to the clay. And we'll talk a little bit about, who are the players that we're most impressed with, who are some of the disappointments that we've seen so far, and who are the players that we're looking to see, really look forward to the clay as we move into that. And then we'll preview Monte Carlo.
Let's do it.
So we'll have some trivia at the end. We've been doing that recently for some of the episodes. So this time I am the one who I'm going to put Jish on the spot with some Monte Carlo trivia. And I think we can just get started now. So we'll talk about the biggest story. So Miami Open, we had Daniil Medvedev winning another tournament. This is his fifth final in a row and his fourth title in those five finals. So really, really good run of form from Medvedev after a disappointing 2022 for him. Really to see him be this consistent after reaching the Indian Wells final, now able to win as well. And on the women's side, kind of a surprise with Puerto Kvitova winning the title.
Yeah, I'm super happy about that.
Yeah, I bet you're disappointed you didn't pick her this week.
Yeah, I picked her for Indian Wells to actually, I think, win the whole tournament.
You know what? I'm gonna give you credit for that. I'm gonna say that it's kind of a win that you picked her there. Somewhere in the Sunshine Double, she got it done.
Yeah.
So that's good. That's a good pick from you. And I think power tennis has been the big story for the women's side this year. Sabalenka, Rybakina, and now. Rybakina,
has been playing real well.
And she was the opponent for Kvitova in the final here in Miami. So really good result for both Kvitova and Rybakina.
Mm-hmm.
Rybakina has actually been in the three finals of the biggest tournaments this year. So
great.
We're going to talk about who are the best players of the year so far, and she's going to be one of the candidates probably to be number one, right? So we'll talk a little bit about that, but great result from Kvitova. I mean, she wins now. I believe this is her 9th Masters 1000 title.
Mm-hmm.
And she continues to have a good, run of form. Last year she had some pretty good results in some of these events, and now she's able to win one. So that's good for her. Apart from that, we've had some tennis happen in the week that Miami has been over. Due to personal reasons, we couldn't record last week, but we're back here, and now we're going to have to talk about some of the tournaments also that happened just in terms of results. So I think the biggest stories is the win for Frances Tiafoe in Houston.
Mm-hmm.
Great run of form from Tiafoe since last year and the big win that he had against Rafa Nadal. So that's a great result for him, and he's been playing great. He actually had a pretty good Sunshine Double himself. So that's good for Tiafoe to keep that momentum on the clay as well. And then also two players that really, really are happy about seeing some clay court tennis.
Yeah.
Ons Jabeur beats Belinda Bencic to win the Charleston finals in a rematch, actually. They played last year in the same event in the final, and it was Bencic who won last year. So this year, Ons Jabeur gets a little bit of revenge. And on the clay in Estoril, we have Casper Ruud coming back and winning a title.
He's found his form on clay. Huh?
He found his form on clay, on the 250s. He loves those. He's the king of that. Great to see Casper. We saw some of the highlights, and he was looking every bit as good as he was last year, and that's good to see because he's been really not himself in the first quarter of the year. And I think this result actually really changes a little bit the way that I view him moving into the clay season.
Yeah, it makes it interesting now. We have
Yeah.
another player on the clay courts.
Yeah, and honestly, if we would have recorded this show last week, I would not be talking about Casper Ruud at all in any sort of, beneficial light, right? But this result really does prove that, a little bit of confidence and getting back to a surface that he's really familiar with, that really can change everything, right? So great stuff for Casper Ruud, great stuff from Ange Board, great stuff from Francis Tiafoe. And apart from that, the biggest story as well is Monte Carlo's happening. So we're going to preview that. We have some notable misses from the tournament, unfortunately. We were all hoping to see Rafa come back for Monte Carlo.
He was planning to, right?
Yeah, he was. He announced that he was going to he was targeting Monte Carlo, and he is still practicing. He looks healthy. But it looks like he doesn't feel competitive yet.
Yeah.
So he's going to take another week, and hopefully we'll see him in Barcelona. So we'll fingers crossed, and we see him there.
What was this social media post? It was like him holding the trophy or something.
Oh, I didn't see that.
It's something. But then I was like, oh, this looks interesting, the Monte Carlo trophy. But then he said, oh, I'm so sad I can't be there.
Yeah. It was like one other corny post that he does.
It's like a troll post or something.
Yeah. So it's a little sad that we won't see Nadal there. But apart from Nadal missing from Monte Carlo, and I guess the big name that we're also going to be missing is Carlos Alcaraz. Yeah. He also withdrew with injury. Doesn't seem to be serious, so hopefully he'll be able to come back for Barcelona to defend his title there. And it's a little unfortunate because I was really looking to Monte Carlo because I thought that we would get finally, Alcaraz, Nadal, and Djokovic. Oh, I see it. Nice. Yeah, how many times he's held that trophy?
Oh my gosh.
11
it's a record,
times.
Right? Yeah.
We're seeing Nadal holding the Monte Carlo trophy, one of the many times he has held it. So, yeah, it's a little sad that we won't see Nadal and Alcaraz with Djokovic in the same tournament. So one more week that we have to wait and see if they'll be able to play all in the same event. Most likely, probably we'll have to wait to Rome, I think, either Madrid or Rome, for it to happen. Because traditionally, I think Djokovic plays in Belgrade instead of Barcelona, so we probably won't see him there. Okay. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But we still have some good players in this tournament, so we'll discuss that once we get into that section. And then I guess the other big story from this past week or so is the announcement of Wimbledon allowing Russian players this year. So that's sort of the big story that sort of outside of the court that broke. And we're planning to talk about that, but we'll wait for next week. We'll read it a little bit more carefully, think a little bit more on what we think about it, and then we'll have a good discussion about it next week, the next time we meet for a podcast. So with that, I think that's the biggest stories that happened. Anything that I left off, Jish?
Yeah, I guess we'll go more in depth in some of those Miami results, but
let's do it.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Cool. Let's do it. So let's talk Miami.
Yeah.
Where do you want to start?
Oh, that's some good stuff. Yeah, I enjoyed the tournament very much. It almost has had some buzz around it. So it's some good matches, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think we can not talk about two players here. I think Sinner played very well, and then also Medvedev.
Absolutely.
And
let's talk about the final. Let's talk about the finalists.
Yeah, this is ATP, but also in the women's.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have to talk about Rybakina and Kvitova, obviously. But
absolutely.
Yeah. Also,
start with the men's?
A lot of good matches. Yeah, let's start with the men's.
So let's talk about the final, Medvedev and Sinner. I guess in terms of, I want to start before we talk about that match itself.
Yeah.
Just narrative-wise, it seemed right to have one of Alcaraz, Sinner, and Medvedev in this final because they have clearly been the best players, in my opinion, at least in the Sunshine Swing. And even before that, right, we saw Sinner win titles a title in Montpellier, reached the final in Rotterdam, and we saw Alcaraz reach 2 straight finals in his first 2 tournaments back. And then they both have an excellent Sunshine double. They face each other in both semifinals. And they split, Alcaraz winning in Indian Wells and then Sinner getting him back in Miami. And so in terms of narrative, I'm very happy to see Sinner and Medvedev reach that stage, because I feel like it fits in with what we've been seeing, and also seeing Alcaraz reach that semifinal, because honestly, he's also been one of the best players in the world, if not the best player, and in the last few months. We'll talk about that later, and I think what Medvedev is also doing, reaching 4-5 straight finals, right? That's an incredible performance from him to be able to do that. And the way, talking more about the match itself, like the way he was able to stop Sinner when I think a lot of people were picking Sinner in this match.
I was.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of pundits were picking him as well. And, I was picking him or Alcaraz for this title no matter what. And I felt like Sinner had the highest level of this tournament in that semifinal against Alcaraz. I think that was the highest level of tennis that we saw in Miami. It is a little unfortunate that he wasn't able to bring it in the final, right? And it was a little bit physical. It was a little bit also just not playing as well. Like his serving went down quite a bit in the final compared to the semifinals against Alcaraz, and that's huge because both Alcaraz and Medvedev are great returners, and you have to serve well, right, to be able to get through them. And he was able to do that against Alcaraz, but he couldn't replicate it against Medvedev. So that's sort of the big picture for me there. Anything you want to add to that?
No, I mean, I was very impressed with Sinner until the final, right? I think he's playing amazing tennis. To beat Alcaraz in the form he was in, it just takes a lot out of anyone. Yeah. So I'm just happy that he's playing at that level and he's able to compete at that stage. I just wish he could win at the tournament. Yeah. I think it'll happen soon. Just even more patience, I think, as a Sinner fan.
He's getting there. We have to remember, like, these guys, Alcaraz and Sinner, they're very young. Like, Sinner's 21 years old. Alcaraz is just 19. I
can't believe Alcaraz is still 19.
I know, right? He seems older than Sinner. But we have to remember, I mean, when Federer was 19 or 20, like, he was a hot mess, right? And he had to really mature. He had to find how to use all the weapons that he had to be able to produce a winning formula. And I think we gotta give a little bit of time for Sinner, to get there. And I think we're gonna talk a little bit later what kind of, or at least I'm gonna bring up what the power rankings are for tennis, and I want to see what your insight is in that. But one thing that for me has elevated Sinner into that next tier of players has been the fact that he's been able to do it against the best players a little bit more regularly now. The fact that he lost to Medvedev is a little concerning because of his head-to-head with Medvedev. And in general, that is the one knock he's had in his career. He's been pretty atrocious against the top players in terms of head-to-head record. But he's really turning that around this year. With the wins that he's had. He's played, he's beat Alcaraz before, but this version of Alcaraz that we saw in the Sunshine Double is a different level of Alcaraz. Like, he's he's harnessing a lot better his weapons, and we saw how dominant he was in Indian Wells, the way he beat Sinner. He beat him at the U.S. Open. He could have easily fallen back, 3 straight times against Alcaraz and falling behind, and he had that win, right?
Yeah.
It's a great win, and the fact that he also beat Tsitsipas earlier this year, pretty convincingly. That's huge. And he also beat Taylor Fritz this year, who he was top 5 this year, and he's had issues against top 5 players. So
what is he now? He's almost in the top 10 right now.
Sinner just entered the top 10.
Yeah,
he's number 9. So he's starting to get into he is a top 10 player now in terms of ranking, and he feels like a top 5 player at the moment, right?
I think so.
So he's getting there. His tennis recently has elevated him a little bit more in the rankings, and I think the Sunshine Double. I mean, he reached semifinals Indian Wells, final in Miami. He's trending in the right direction, I would say. And now the next step for Sinner is to be able to beat the big guys at the big tournaments, right? And maybe beat more than one guy, because last year Alcaraz won Madrid, right? But he had to beat Nadal, Djokovic, and Zverev to do that.
Amazing.
And that is the question of Sinner. Can he do that? Can he beat these guys in a row, right? Mm-hmm. He's able to do it once in a tournament. Can he do it multiple times? That's the next step for Sinner. But he's taking the steps, and he jumped a level this year to me from what I've seen and what I saw in Miami and in the Sunshine Double. So great stuff from him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should we talk about Medvedev? I think we have to talk about Medvedev.
I mean, he clearly is the best right now, I think.
Maybe. Yeah. We're going to have that discussion. We'll talk about who's the best player in the world right now. Rankings right now is number 1 Djokovic, number 2 Alcaraz, number 3 is Tsitsipas, and number 4 is Medvedev. But we'll talk about what the power rankings are.
Talk about it. He also it was Alcaraz just a few weeks
ago.
And then losing to Sinner.
He had to defend his title because he was so close to Djokovic in the ranking that he needed to win the tournament to stay number 1. So by losing to Sinner in the semis, he went down to number 2 again. He could easily get the number 1 ranking again this year. No, actually, he would have to defend his titles in Barcelona and Madrid, and then in Rome he would have a chance to come back. He doesn't have anything to defend, so he's not going to go down in this tournament, but Djokovic can go up because he also has nothing to defend in Monte Carlo. He lost in the first round last year, or the second, I guess, because he had a bye. So yeah, it's shift. I mean, they've been trading places, Djokovic and Alcaraz, at the moment, and it makes sense, right? These are the last 2 Grand Slam winners. I think it makes sense that they're number 1 and number 2.
Yeah.
But Medvedev, man, like, I think it's a lot of credit to him. The fact that it's not that he reached both finals.
He's been very consistent
of the Sunshine Double, but he also won 3 tournaments in a row. Right before that,
the fact that he's alive, and still, I thought that was gonna be a problem for him going into the Sunshine Double, but clearly not.
But that's why I didn't pick him to make the final, because I felt like at some point he gotta get tired,
Tired, right? Yeah.
I mean, look at a guy like Cam Norrie. Like, Norrie's been playing great this year, but he's just playing too much, and now he gassed out in these tournaments, right? And I think he already lost in Monte Carlo. We're going to see the draw in a second, but I think he already lost. So it's incredible. It's a testament to the physicality of Daniil Medvedev that he's able to do this.
And he's running a lot.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's his game. Like, he's trying to retrieve every ball, right? He's reaching every ball. He's trying to grind it out with you, and he's somehow able to do this, right? Now, I will say that he's had quite a bit of a favorable draw in both tournaments to get to the final. The fact that Sinner and Alcaraz drew each other, both times was a little bit of a detriment, and definitely Alcaraz just took the wind out of Sinner in that semifinal. Well, he himself, right? It was cramping all over the place. They were both cramping in that match. Sinner had like a foot cramp in the second set. and Alcaraz just could barely move in the third set, and particularly in the beginning, got a little better later, but physically speaking, Medvedev is just something else. Like these guys, that is the one thing that I put him above, these other guys.
Yeah.
He is so fit. And he doesn't look like, he looks like a mess on the court. Like, what's up with Medvedev?
Deceiving. I mean, there's like players, that you see Djokovic or Nadal, and you just, they move so well that it's like not, I feel like they already get their body at such a high level before they even consider playing.
Yeah.
And then you see, I don't know what Medvedev's doing. I probably need to figure out more, but he reminds me of Guga, actually.
Yeah.
Like the body figure. So, but he is deceivingly very strong.
Yeah. Definitely. So I think what he did was incredible in both tournaments. And I think, his serve has gotten a little better this year, but he's still like not really being that consistent with his serve. So I'm a bit surprised that people are not taking more advantage of it. But again, I think it comes a little bit to the fact that he has had some more favorable draws in these tournaments. So that's helped a little bit. But he's had some good wins along the way too. I mean, he beat Djokovic. Djokovic has one loss this year. It was against Medvedev in that tournament in Dubai, I believe. So that's an incredible win for him. Win against Sinner twice. He's beat Zverev this year, and probably Zverev's best match that he's played. He looked like Zverev again, and he beat him there. So he's had some good wins along the way, even though he's had slightly more favorable draws than Alcaraz and Sinner. But yeah, I gotta give him props. He's really turned around his struggles from last year, and it was this incredible sunshine double for him. So yeah, that's the men's in Miami. Anybody else that you want to shout out before we move on from this tournament?
I'm not sure.
Maybe Taylor Fritz.
I was going to say Taylor Fritz played pretty well.
I think in the general sunshine double itself, like he
played well.
He played well.
Yeah.
He just ran into the two hottest guys, or two of the three hottest guys right now in Sinner and Alcaraz.
Right.
That match between Alcaraz and Fritz
was
in Miami, like that was the match where I know Alcaraz didn't win the title, but he looked like the best player on the planet in that match. He made Taylor Fritz playing at his best level look ordinary. He couldn't touch Alcaraz.
He was getting frustrated.
Yeah.
What did he say after the interview? Do you remember?
Yeah, he was saying. So they were asking him about the big three, right?
Yeah, and Alcaraz is playing like the big three.
He was saying that he had even less time to do anything, against Alcaraz than the big three. Now, granted, Taylor Fritz hasn't played the big three in their prime, right? But that's still like anybody that can be in that sentence. It's a huge compliment. Yeah. And the fact that, he didn't even say anything about his own game, like, I didn't play well or anything. It was all about how destructive Alcaraz was.
Yeah, and that reminded me a little bit how Kyrgios talks about Federer.
Yeah.
He's like, they talk about, the GOAT debate or something. I think he was asked, or this was Kyrgios being asked by another person. And he's saying, like, Djokovic may win all the most Grand Slams, and Nadal has obviously so many, good records also, but Federer would make him feel like he was like, there's nothing to do on the court.
Exactly.
So I think in a way, Alcaraz's game is somewhat of Federer-esque, and it's like a mixture of Nadal and Federer.
I think the best parts of Alcaraz's game are like Federer. The fact that he can attack so well.
Yeah. He was coming in so well.
Yeah. It's a thing that he's doing a lot better this year, and
his transition game just like coming in, just
exactly finishing points at the net. He's always been good at it, but the fact that he's like really harnessing it better this year.
He's just like attacking, like that.
He's looking
to attack. If you see a
short
ball, he's coming in or something.
Yep.
It's amazing.
I think he's really improved in his maturity in terms of how to construct a match.
Yeah.
Like, he could construct points well, but he couldn't put like an entire match together without being sloppy. And he still has a little bit of that. Like, he had a few moments in the match against Sinner where he like made really stupid decisions and trying to like come in like rushing and in a bad moment.
He has some lows, yeah.
His lows are still like there, right?
Yeah.
They're still there, but they're a lot less now this year than they were last year. And I think that's a big jump for him. And honestly, you got to give credit to Sinner for what he did, right, in that match against Alcaraz. Because Alcaraz, like, he wasn't playing his best, but he still managed to win that first set, right, against Sinner, playing worse than Sinner. And that's a hallmark there of, championship type of player. And Sinner didn't get frustrated. He came back and was able to win that second set.
It shows a lot of composure.
And that really showed a lot of composure and belief. He could have easily just gone away the same way that, Alcaraz ran away with it in Indian Wells when, he won a tight first set. Then he just ran away with the second set, right? Sinner this time was able to get over that. So we got to give credit to Sinner for what we saw there as well. But
absolutely.
I think overall both guys, right, Sinner and Alcaraz, they've shown that growth and maturity. Now, I will say this. I think Medvedev, and this is the thing, right? The final between Sinner and Medvedev, the hard thing about that final is that it was a little frustrating that Sinner wasn't healthy. And I wish,
Yeah.
He was just not fit enough. And it's, in a way, it's not even an excuse. It's actually it's a detriment to the fact that his physicality is not there, right? And he's getting there. He's better. Like last year, at this point of the year, he already had retired from so many tournaments, right?
That's true. And
he's now lasting longer. Like he's played more. He's winning more. So he is having to put his body through a little more. So it makes sense. And he just went through a really grueling match against Alcaraz, right? But then again, like, let's reiterate what Medvedev just did. He won 4 out of 5 tournaments in a row, right? And his physicality is fine. Yeah. So I think that's the one thing that Sinner and Alcaraz eventually will naturally get there. They're still very young. They're growing into their man bodies, right? They're still 19, 21. So that is something that's just going to come naturally. I don't want to like make a big point about it, but it is, right now it is something that's going to limit them from their potential this year, right? Still. And that's something that Medvedev can take advantage about, especially on the hard courts.
Yeah.
So those are kind of the things, like the dynamics right now between those guys that I see.
Is Medvedev playing Monte Carlo?
He is playing Monte Carlo. I mean, he reached the
machine,
quarterfinal of the Roland Garros. I think it was 2 years ago, right? And last year was round 16, and he lost to Cilic, who made the semis. So who knows? He's playing with confidence. Yeah. Maybe he's ready to roll like a dog on the clay, like he says. So we'll see. Like he hates the clay, but he hated Indian Wells. He played pretty well there.
What did he say? Oh, this is not a hard court.
This is not a hard court. I wouldn't know because I'm a specialist. Yeah, Medvedev wins the quote battle. Yeah. He wins that. But yeah, I'm really excited to see him on the clay and see if I think he might actually have a pretty good clay season for his standards. I still don't think he'll win a title on the clay. But depends. Maybe if he goes to a smaller event, maybe he can win that. But I just don't. There's just too many good players on the clay. Yeah. I would say that even better competition on the clay than hard courts, just because the very top players are so good on the clay, right? Yeah. Guys like Tsitsipas, guys like Zverev, who haven't really been a factor that much. Tsitsipas has been a factor, Australian Open, but then after that with the injury and things like that. Yeah, hopefully. But he's coming back to Monte Carlo, defending champion. He might get his confidence back, and Zverev showed already some improvement, and he's coming into a surface that he likes. right? So it's gonna be difficult, and we already saw what Casper did in the 250 event. So he's already showing that he's more confident, right? Coming in. So I think it's gonna be uphill battle for Medvedev to win a title on the clay, but if he can reach some quarterfinals, maybe even a semifinal, I mean, I think that's going to be incredible progress for him because he has nothing to defend in the clay.
Oh, that's true.
So this is just going to be, a free ride for him to get even closer to the top. Right now he's number 4. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. But yeah, let's talk about power rankings a little bit later. Let's go into the other final. I'll let you start.
Kvitova.
What did you see from Kvitova?
Oh man, greatness.
Yeah. She played really good.
She played really well. I think we were watching the highlights right before this, and that first set tiebreak.
Oh, it was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
We've seen her live at the U.S. Open. I always go back to that moment because it's just so ingrained in my memory.
Was it Muguruza?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great match.
And it's crazy tiebreaks.
Crazy tiebreak.
Yeah, and she comes out on top.
Mm-hmm.
And she did it again this time, but it was like, 14, 12?
Didn't she have a crazy one with Pegula recently?
Yes.
Did she won?
She won. Was it this tournament?
No, I think it was, maybe it was this. I think it was in Sunshine Double. It was either Indian Wells or Miami.
Yeah. And, Kvitova won that one too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She quietly had a really good Sunshine Double because she won this tournament, but she also reached the quarterfinal, if I'm not mistaken, of Indian Wells. So she's playing pretty good recently, which is great for her. And power tennis, I mean, that's been the story of the women's game this year. So great stuff from her.
Yeah. She put going back to that tiebreak against Pegula. That was in Indian Wells in the round 16.
Yeah.
And it was 13-11 in the third set.
Wow.
Yeah.
She saved match points, I think, right?
Points,
yeah. Oh, man.
That was dramatic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet Pegula was drinking a beer after that.
Yeah.
Can you believe that? Did you see the whole sponsorship thing with Pegula?
No.
Do you remember that she it became a really big thing on social media that she came after a really bad loss at a Grand Slam? I think it was a beatdown that she took to Swiatek, and she was so done with it, and she came with a Heineken to the press conference.
Did she get sponsored by?
She got sponsored, but by Stella.
By Stella. Oh.
What is Heineken doing? That
should have taken advantage of that.
I know, that should have been an opportunity to just call her right on the spot. Okay, 3-year deal, whatever. And now Stella is actually her sponsor, which is kind of funny. Also, I feel vindicated because I've always said Stella is better than Heineken, but side note. But yeah, I that match against Pegula was Pegula and Kvitova was.
Pegula was playing pretty well.
She's playing great this year.
Yeah. She seems more serious from what I hear. Yeah.
She seems more serious. She seems like she's putting a little more power into her game as well, which is translating into some good results. It's interesting with her though because Pegula, she feels better this year, yet she hasn't won a title. And that is kind of her story. She's the player that she's always there, but she can't win that title, She did win Guadalajara though, so I'll give her credit there. And I think Guadalajara is a 1,000. So that was a good win for her in that tournament last year. But apart from that, she's always there, but doesn't quite, win that final match. She's played quite a few finals, I think, this year. I mean, she played that one with Iga, and Iga really... She's had an ego problem, so she couldn't win that one. But all in all, she's playing good. So the fact that Kvitova came through that in that match, and then she ended up winning Miami as well, beating Rybakina in the final. Great stuff from Kvitova, really.
Yeah.
And I think between Rybakina, I gotta get some props to Rybakina as well. I don't want to forget about her because she so far has played 3 of the 4 biggest events, the finals of those events. She played the final in Australian Open, got runner-up there to Sabalenka. Then I don't know if she lost. I think she lost early in Doha or Dubai. I forget which one. That one, Doha and Dubai is another Masters 1000 event for the women, but they switch every year from level. Mm-hmm. 1 year is 1 year Doha is the 1000 and Dubai is the 500. The next year they switch. So I'm always confused at which one is which. But the point is that Krejcikova won that title, and Rybakina, I think, lost early. Okay. But then in the Sunshine Double, she reached both finals, right? And she won in Indian Wells, reached the final in Miami. So that's
and she beat Zabalenka in that final too.
And she beat Sabalenka in that final. So that's a great run.
Great run for her.
Yeah. She's playing really good tennis, and now she's consistent. Like, that was the one knock on her, right? Yeah. She would have these highs. I mean, she famously won Wimbledon out of nowhere, but she couldn't be consistent enough. Mm-hmm. And now the consistency is starting to get there. She beat Iga twice this year.
Iga has a Rybakina.
And not beat her.
Yeah, handle.
Just beat down.
It's funny because I mean, Iga's going into those matches as if she's the favorite. I mean, she's comfortably winning all of her other matches, but then she hits Rybakina and then has a problem. So it's a big problem, because I think the problem with Iga is that she doesn't do well when she's rushed. She doesn't handle pace well, and that's something that, the one reason why Sinner is so good against Alcaraz, it's almost like it's because he handles pace so well. Like, he is a redirecting master, right? And then Medvedev gives him like a lazy ball that he has to generate all this pace, and it's so difficult for him. And I think Swiatek is the other way around. Like, she's great at generating her own pace, but once you rush her, she can't really handle it, and she's having a lot of trouble. I mean, she lost to Sabalenka last year in the what was it, the WTA finals as well, and she was getting rushed as well by her. She actually struggled against her in the U.S. Open as well, and she managed to get through that. But you could see that there is a formula now for beating Iga. There's just not that many players that could employ it, but there is a formula out there, right? You got to be power tennis, and you just got to be redlining and making it. And right now, there's two players that's able to do that, Sabalenka and Rybakina. Sabalenka hasn't played Iga this year yet, but Iga has played Rybakina twice, and it's not worked out. So I think Rybakina is really now, she's in the top 10 now, and I think that's very long overdue, because she would have been a long time ago in the top 10 if Wimbledon points counted, because she won Wimbledon, right? She didn't get any points for it. Right.
But
she's climbing back up. It looks like she's number 10 right now.
Yeah. So she's in the top 10 now. She's definitely in the top handful of players in the race. So she's looking like one of the best, if not the best players in the world right now. So props to her on a great run, and props to Kvitova for winning that title. We're starting to see some players, we're starting to see a tier forming on both tours. So good stuff there. So maybe anything else that you want to talk about before we move on to some of the other results in Miami?
No, I think,
covered it?
Yep.
So for the other tournaments, just quickly, right, we talked about Ons Jabeur, we talked about Casper Ruud. Mm-hmm. What do we think about them? We think they're going to find their form moving into the clay. I think are we going to see more of the same that we saw this week from them?
Yeah. From what we saw this past week, yes.
Yeah, right.
Definitely Casper and Ons probably. I mean, coming back from injury, she's looking fresh. She's playing her trick shots very well.
Yeah.
Being crafty. You want to talk about that point that?
Oh man, there's this highlight reel, and the first point was
check it out.
What was it, like a jumping tweener that she hit, but it wasn't like going back. It was like she almost overran it. I think Federer did that once, where it was like an overrun.
He's done it many times.
Yeah, it was like an overrun, and so she had to hit it like a tweener behind her.
Yeah.
And then it got right on the feet of Bencic. She hit like a kind of like a cross court drop shot, and she got there, and she hit like a slice backhand cross court past Bencic and hit the line. It was just gorgeous shot. And she just had a lot of shots like that in this match. Well, not quite like that.
That's her game, right?
That's what she does, and she's so good with that. And the thing is that
and her energy was back. I feel like
exactly.
She was just lively and
She just looked confident, and she looked healthy. That's the thing, right? When she was healthy last year, she was one of the handful of best players in the world.
I would argue the same thing with Casper. I feel like and we were talking about this just before, that he looks like he's at home on the clay.
Yeah.
He came back.
Yeah.
And you feel that surface, and then your confidence goes up. So
exactly.
And he was redlining balls.
He was just ripping,
plastering forehands.
Yeah. It was awesome to see.
Yeah.
It reminded me of when we went and saw him in where was it that we saw him in? Was it in Canada and
in Montreal?
In Montreal that we saw him practicing.
Oh man.
Probably the best practice, or one of the best practices that we've seen that close.
Ever.
It was that good.
It was so good.
Yeah. Casper's forehand is must be in maybe top 5 shots that I like in tennis.
So satisfying.
And it
sounds amazing.
Yeah. It's just the same intensity that Rafa puts into it, but from the right side. It's just so great.
And he's a tank. He's pretty strong.
A tank. He's very strong.
He's deceivingly,
He hits the heaviest ball too. I mean, he has the highest topspin in men's tennis, even higher than Casper.
What?
Well, taking Nadal out because he's hurt, but he is right now. He is the heaviest.
I was going to say,
it's close to Nadal actually. It's close. Right. It's not quite, but it's close. It's more than Alcaraz, which because he hits also a pretty heavy topspin. Yeah. So
it would have been Jack Sock too back in the day, but he's not.
He's playing pickleball now, so. sorry,
Comes
Jack.
the pickleball jokes.
Sorry, Jack.
Listeners, if you play pickleball,
hey, I like pickleball. I'm just saying, right now he's not very good in the tennis court. But I think that Casper is really looking more comfortable, and I'm glad to see that because
he had a rough low patch.
Yeah, he looked terrible.
He looked out of it.
He was so bad in the first 3 months of this year. Yeah. He made the final in Miami last year, and he's really legitimized himself on the hard courts because he made the Miami final. He made the U.S. Open final. Lost both of those to Alcaraz. No shame there. So I was expecting a little bit more from him, particularly in Indian Wells, which is kind of a slower hard court.
Yeah. But it didn't happen.
It was just not working for him. And I mean, he said that it was probably a mistake to do that little exhibition that he did with Rafa. Although personally,
what mistake with Rafa?
You remember that he did the exhibition travel, whatever. And they did that during the off season, so he didn't really have an off season, and he had to go all the way, continue working out and all that.
He regrets it.
I wouldn't say he regrets it. And this is what I was gonna say.
If
I was, I mean, come on. If I'm Casper Ruud,
the biggest Rafa fan,
I'm technically nobody. Us who are tennis nerds.
Well, he came from the
we
academy
know who
too.
he is, right? But casual fans don't know who Casper Ruud is. And if Rafa Nadal tells you, Casper Ruud, let's go play tennis on.
Let's do this.
What? Forget it. I'll tank my ranking to do this. It's dumb to be so hard on him.
I think it was probably a good.
It was probably a bad tennis decision that I would have backed him to do.
Yeah.
Honestly,
when do you get those opportunities?
Yeah.
Never.
Screw that. Stop the hate with Casper Ruud. Okay. It was a good decision. And he's looking like he's getting his form back. So that's all that matters. He's going into the clay. He doesn't really have that many points to defend until the French Open, right? Yeah. He made the finals in the French, so there's a lot to defend there. But he didn't really do that great in the Masters events last year. So he has an opportunity now to really make up for all this, bad play from the first half of the year or first quarter of the year. So I'm looking forward to him, and I'm also looking forward to Jabeur. I mean, Jabeur was the second best clay court player last year, behind Iga. So if she's gonna have a rebound, this is the moment. So I think those two players, showing, I think it's a good omen, and a preview of what to see from them, from what we saw this week in Estoril and in Charleston by both of them winning titles there. Mm-hmm. So let's move on to some power ranking discussion. I just want to bring up this conversation with you. So let me just pull up my notes because I need to Let's see. It's here, and it's here. Okay. So for the first quarter of the year, right? And I'll just share this with you so you can see.
Nice.
I made a list of players that I feel like are the best players, and I want to see. Actually, I'm not even going to show you this yet,
Oh,
because I want to see what you feel. Right?
Okay.
If you were to do a top, let's say a top 3, a top 5,
right now.
and then a top 10.
Oh,
like,
gosh.
who are the best 3 players, men's and women's?
I could probably do best 3. And
Let's do best 3.
I'm not gonna get the top 10 because
That's fine. I'll tell you what my top 10 is.
Watch that.
And then you'll tell me if it makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do top 3. Okay. So you start.
Let's
with
do both. Let's do men's.
Okay. Men's. I'm gonna say this is power rankings.
Yeah. Let's do power rankings.
I'm gonna say Alcaraz.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna say Djokovic.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I think there's 4, but I'm gonna say
sure. Let's do 4.
So I already said Sinner, right?
No.
Sinner and Medvedev, top 4.
Top 4. Okay. If you were to do 3 instead of 4,
I know. I knew you were gonna ask me that.
just to see if we're on the same page.
It's gonna be Medvedev there.
Yeah. I think the top 3 is Medvedev, definitely, Alcaraz and Djokovic, right? Sinner is the very top of tier 2 for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the tier 2 is 2 players. That's it. I think tier 2. I think we have a top 3, then we have a top 5. I would say Sinner, and then I would say Tsitsipas. And the only reason I say Tsitsipas, he had a terrible Sunshine Double, and even a terrible before that. But there's 2 things. He made the Australian Open final. We got to give him props for that. And he beat Sinner, who's been one of the best players of the year. He beat him there. So that's props to him. And we are going into his best surface. So I am going to count that also as, the upside to him to be a top 5. So I would say Djokovic, Alcaraz, Medvedev. Those are my clear top 3. That's my tier 1.
Then
tier 2 is Sinner, then Tsitsipas 5.
Okay.
And then there's a gap right after that for top 10. Women's top 3. Top 5 is going to be tougher, but top 3. Top 3, I think it's obvious.
Okay, Zabalenka.
Yeah.
Rybakina.
Yeah.
Iga.
That's it. That's the top 3. And I think there is, after that, there's a drop off. I do think, though.
Then Kvitova.
Kvitova, I have her. So I'll show you what my list is.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
So for the men, right? Like I already explained, Alcaraz, Medvedev, Djokovic, and then Sinner and Tsitsipas, right? Women, we said Sabalenka, Iga, Rybakina. For the next tier, right? Mm-hmm. I would say Krejcikova, Pegula, and Bencic. I think that's the next 3. The reason is because Bencic has won 2 titles this year. That's tied for number 1. And she's won that. She has 20 wins, 20-7 record. And Pegula, which is interesting that we talked about this. She doesn't have a title,
but she's been playing.
But she feels like she's been one of the top 5 players in the world. Yeah. Her ranking is number 3.
She's been losing to the top players.
Exactly. Yeah. So she's number 3 in the ranking. She's number 3 in the race. Mm-hmm. So if you would take anybody out, if you would make a top 5, Pegula would probably be the one that has the less accomplishments. But to me, she stays there just because of the consistency.
No,
right.
Absolutely.
So I think that's kind of like my group. We have the top 3 there, Sabalenka. Now I want to ask you for the top 3. What do you think of the order of that? Who's number 1, number 2, and number 3?
Power rankings going into the clay.
Yeah. Well, just what's happened so far. Let's do the men's first.
The men's. Oh boy. Considering they're all healthy. I'm going to go.
We'll take Nadal out because we don't know about him. So he hasn't played, so it doesn't matter for the discussion.
Alcaraz, Djokovic, Medvedev.
That order.
Yeah. That's just my...
So it's interesting that you're doing that.
It's a bit of an opinion.
Give me your reasoning for that.
I mean, it's so hard to tell with Djokovic's form because he always comes back as if nothing. He's always
it's
at
ridiculous.
The top.
Yeah.
And I have no reason to not believe that. Basically,
yeah.
Like he's gonna come back and maybe even win some of these clay court tournaments going into the French, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just see Alcaraz as, clay is a really good surface for him. And he's been playing great.
Yeah.
I would just like to see him do well. I honestly, I don't have... I mean, he did lose against Sinner, but from that he retired. Right? I mean, I guess not retired.
He didn't retire, but he was depleted.
He was depleted. Yeah. And so I think if he's healthy, if they're all healthy, I'd say Alcaraz, just the way he's playing, I think is gonna give Djokovic some trouble.
So what you're telling me is eye test. You're going with Alcaraz 1 because of the eye test.
What is an eye test?
So he just looks better right now than anybody else on the court.
His game's style right now, he's just playing so confidently.
Yeah.
I if he can keep that up and he's healthy, he's gonna be... I think he's the favorite.
Yeah. So the reason I ask you this question, and it's a fun conversation, because it is very difficult to put like an order for these three guys because they all have different reasons to be put number one. If you look at just statistics, it has to be Medvedev, right? Because he's won 4 out of 5 tournaments, and nobody else has done that. That's just the truth, right? He's won 4 out of 5, and he beat Djokovic along the way to do that. So that's big, right there.
If he's a machine, and he's never tired.
Yeah, like I don't understand. So what he did statistically puts him at number 1 statistically.
Yeah.
But I would agree with you that Alcaraz actually. So I would agree that Medvedev is 3 because of that, right? Like he doesn't. He has the stats, but Djokovic and Alcaraz just look better players right now, right?
Yeah.
And obviously Djokovic, we have to give him the respect. He's 15-1 this year, so it's not like he's having an off year. He's just not played enough, right?
Yeah.
To have the stats that Medvedev has. But I agree that for Alcaraz, eye test is what you would put him number 1 for. However, Djokovic won the only slam this year. So do we give the benefit of the doubt because he won the slam? It's a toss-up. To me, going into the clay and what I saw, the guy that I saw, Alcaraz, play against Taylor Fritz and Medvedev in Miami, that guy, I think nobody beats that guy. So to me, he is the best player. That player on those 2 matches is the best player in the world right now. Now, the question is, how consistently can he bring that out? He's better at it, but we'll see moving forward. But I would put him number 1 because of that.
He's just going to get better and better. I don't see any sign of him slowing down.
Yeah.
Through this year, I think he's gotten progressively more aggressive.
Yeah.
And he's even shortening up his points, I think.
Yeah. He's progressing a lot.
And that will give him more confidence. Let's see. I think it'll be interesting.
What about the women? Top 3, which order you go?
This is a bit more tricky for me. I'm going to say... Oh, this is going to be tough. I'm going to say Rybakina.
Number 1, okay.
Iga and Zabalenka.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think Iga has to be 3rd to me right now. Just this year. I get if you take the totality, right? You take before, she's still number 1, right? I mean, she's still way ahead in the ranking. So, we have to give her that respect. So it depends on how you look at it. If you look at just 2023, I think she has been figured out a little bit. She's also a little hurt, so we have to take that into context. But I think she's been figured out a little bit by the top players, and particularly Rybakina, right? I think I agree with you with Rybakina. It's hard because Sabalenka has won 2 titles this year, and she won the most important one, right? Rybakina has only won 1 title. So, and if you put it that way, maybe you give Sabalenka the edge. But the way that Rybakina, she reached the final in Australia and she reached both finals in the Sunshine Double, it's hard to not give her that top spot. So I think I agree. I think I put Rybakina 1. I would just put Sabalenka 2, Iga 3, and then the rest.
Yeah, I would agree.
But those 3 are the top 3 for sure.
I'm just rooting for her going into the clay courts.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Going into the clay court, she's the favorite everywhere. So this is all just up to this point. Yeah. Moving forward, Iga is the player to beat, no matter what.
Maybe Jabeur if she.
Last year she was second best, so we'll see if she can continue to elevate her stock there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna rapid fire for a few things here that I wanted to cover just before we move on. So. Surprises in this year. How about Sorana Cirstea? What is up with her? She beat Caroline Garcia twice in the Sunshine Double. Right. What's going on with her?
I don't know.
She came out of nowhere.
What happened to Garcia? Because
she ran into Sorana Cirstea. That's what happened. So I mean, Garcia hasn't been that bad this year. Actually,
you're right.
It's just that Sunshine Double for some reason Cirstea got her.
It's interesting that some of these players have problems with one player.
Yeah.
Like Iga has a
Rybakina problem at the moment, yeah.
And
to be fair, she also has a Krejcikova problem.
She has a Krejcikova. I was about to say Krejcikova first because Krejcikova actually has a great record against her.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. Why do you think that's happening?
I think it's matchups, styles. I mean, look at the whole Sinner and Alcaraz. Sinner uses Alcaraz's pace, but then he matches out well with Medvedev, or Medvedev matches out well with Sinner because Medvedev is just a backboard and Sinner doesn't have that much variety to disrupt Medvedev. Yeah. But then Alcaraz against Medvedev, that looks like a bad match for Medvedev because of Alcaraz's variety, right? Yeah. So I think it styles a little bit sometimes. Yeah. In that sense, sometimes it's just a fluke thing. Cirstea just found some form.
But some of them aren't, right?
Some of them aren't. Yeah, that's true. So, I mean, I think the little 3, like I call them, Medvedev, Tsitsipas, and Zverev, they had a little triangle going on as well. In terms of head-to-heads. I think it was Tsitsipas beating Zverev a lot, and then Zverev beating Medvedev, and then Medvedev Tsitsipas. I think that was the triangle there. For some reason, some players match up better like that. I mean, it's the same thing with the big 3, right? With Federer and Djokovic. I mean, Federer definitely matches up better with Djokovic than Nadal does. Oh, gosh. But then Nadal matches up really good against Federer, right? So it's it's a matchup thing a little bit. But yeah, Cirstea, what a surprise in this Sunshine Double. I think the other surprise in the men's, although this is a little disrespectful, but I would say Khachanov.
He snuck in again.
Yeah, but the reason it's disrespectful is because he reached also the semifinals in Australia and the U.S. Open.
We haven't talked about him at all in this podcast.
And that's the thing, right? Disrespect.
We have
that's what I'm saying.
We've talked about it before, though.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, but he's definitely in probably the best form of his life.
Yeah.
Right?
He's really under the radar. Yeah. He's pretty good on clay, too, so I think he's going to continue to keep that form up. We'll see if he continues to make deep runs, but he's been very, very consistent, so that's good. Some players that were trending up for me. There's a few players. I'm just going to mention them for the listeners to keep a lookout. On the women's side, you should take a look at Potapova. She's been playing really good. She had 2 epic matches in the Sunshine Double against Pegula. Both of them went to tie breaks. They were really good. I would say Donna Vekic has been really good this year. So a player to keep an eye on. She's trending up. And there's a player called Gracheva. I haven't never even heard of this player. And she somehow is on the top, like, I would say top maybe 10, 15 players, just in terms of stats this year, wins, losses, all that. She's playing really good, and she's pretty young. So, player to look out for. And then for the men's, Nicholas Jerry, especially on the clay. That's the only reason I mention it. Yeah. We're going into the clay, and he's playing really well on the clay. So that's a guy to keep an eye out. Potentially to make a deep run in Monte Carlo. I think I picked him to go pretty far, if I remember correctly. Nice. So Jerry, men's, obviously Sinner trending up. There is no player of consequence that is trending better than Sinner at the moment, right? And so that we had to mention him. And then the other guy that unfortunately is injured now, but was really looking great, was Sebastian Corda. He's 8-2 this year, and his 2 losses, one was retirement with injury. The other was a very close match against Djokovic this year in the final of Adelaide. So he and the wins that he's had this year are super impressive. I mean, Medvedev has 3 losses this year. One of them was Korda. He almost took out Djokovic. He's beat Rublev. I think he beat Sinner as well this year. So Korda is a guy to watch, and if he can get healthy, I am expecting big things from him on the grass court and hard court seasons later this year. So fans, keep an eye on those guys. And unfortunately, trending down for me, Casper Ruud, but he is showing some good recovery. So we'll give him a break there. Diego Schwartzman, there isn't a player that's trending worse right now than Diego. I think it's the end of the road for him.
No, oh gosh.
I think it is actually. It's been for like at least 6 months.
Isn't he playing doubles?
He's not even hurt. Like he's just bad.
He's not even hurt.
He's playing challenger events and losing early rounds. Like, come on. Like it's time to call it like this is.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Carlos.
Well,
he's got to change something.
I stand by what I'm saying. Diego is done.
Oh God.
Berrettini.
Okay, I still have faith in you, Diego.
Berrettini is the guy. He's turning down for sure, but I do have faith in him.
Really?
I do.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's been better than Diego for years. For sure. How about Shapo?
Oh, I don't know.
That's he's been a case for like 6 years now. I don't know what's a
6 years.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he beat I think it was 5 or 6 years ago that he beat Nadal in Canada when he sort of made his name, and we're still waiting for him to really explode, right? And he hasn't. Anyway, Kasatkina for the women and Anisimova are probably the 2 biggest players of note that are trending down, and Anisimova is mostly because of injuries, but she's really struggling. She's like 2-8 or something like that. So she's struggling, and obviously Dominic Thiem. But Thiem has some. He's had some good wins.
1 or 2 good wins.
I think he did win the first round in Monte Carlo.
He beat Gasquet.
So those are the guys. So I think that sort of wraps up what's going on in the first quarter of the year. And maybe we should wrap up by talking a little bit about the Monte Carlo draw. So let's do that. Let's do that.
Right. If you're watching, we're gonna show the draw.
Let's do it. So let's go to the bottom, and just to see what the top seeds are.
Here we go.
So we have Novak Djokovic. He's back. This is parallel tour number 2, where we have Djokovic playing and Alcaraz not playing. It seems like there's 2 different tours going on right now. One that Djokovic is number 1, another one where Alcaraz is number 1. So he's the number 1 seed here. Defending champion Stefanos Tsitsipas, he's the number 2 seed. Daniil Medvedev looking to win his first title of consequence on the clay. And Casper Ruud round out the top 4. And then we have Rublev Rune at number 6. Wow, Rune at number 6. How about Sinner at number 7? And then Taylor Fritz to round out the top 8 players. That's a pretty good top 8 players, I would say. And then we have the other seeds are Hashanov, Hurkacz, Cam Norrie, Tiafoe, I think, withdrew because he just won a tournament this week, and there's like 1,000 rain delays there, so there's no way he was going to be able to play this. So he withdrew.
He calls his knee there.
Yeah. And then Zverev, and then Diminar, Borna Coric, and Lorenzo Musetti. So you want to go through? Let's go through the Djokovic side of things first. Let's do that. So what do we see here?
All right. We have Djokovic as the top seed, and on his quarter, we have Holger Rune, as well as Medvedev, Hurkacz as the other seeds here.
And Sinner at number 7.
And Sinner, right.
Ooh, that's nasty. That would be a quarterfinal. Sinner against Djokovic? Oof. That feels like the final to me. That could be a quarterfinal. Wow, that's rough.
That's a round of 16, right?
No, that's a quarterfinal.
Right. That's a quarterfinal.
Because he's 7. Yeah.
You're right. Wow. Well,
first glance, that looks like a bad section there for them. An unfortunate section. Just watch Diego Schwartzman take out Sinner just to shut me up in the next round. He's playing Schwartzman next, Sinner. That would be the most ridiculous thing if that happens. That I don't think that's gonna happen.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
So we got Sinner there. We got Hurkacz, potential round 16 opponent. So most of those matches have been decided. Jack Draper, I think that was a great win over Sebastian Baez, who's a really good clay court player.
Yeah.
And Draper is not really known for his clay prowess, so that's really good. And he plays Hurkacz next. Very winnable match because Hurkacz himself is not that great on the clay, though. Beating Laszlo Djere is pretty good.
Yeah.
He's a good clay courter, so that's a good win. But yeah, what are we thinking here in this quarter here? We have
that was 3 tie breaks against Jerry.
Yeah, three tie breaks. It was
pulled that out.
Jerry, yeah, that's impressive. On Monte Carlo, that's a slow clay court. It's the slowest clay court of all the tournaments.
Really,
even slower than Roland Garros. Yeah.
I guess that's what it translates for.
Oh, yeah.
Nadal.
Yep. It is the closest to Roland Garros. So the players that do well here usually do also well in Roland Garros. So what do we think? Quarter number 1, we have Sinner and Djokovic. You think they make that quarterfinal matchup?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yep. And then the bottom, I'm gonna say actually.
So let's mention here. So seeds in this side, we have Medvedev,
number 3. We
have Rune. Those
number
2
6.
would be quarterfinal opponents if they hold up to their seeds. Some of the other seeds, though, we have one that's already fallen in Cam Norrie. So he lost to Cerundolo. Well, that's a tough first round match actually. But Norrie, like I mentioned, he's sort of crashing a little bit. He's been having one of the best statistical years so far of the men. He's in the top 10 in terms of the race and all that stuff. But right now he just doesn't look like he's very healthy.
Well, Cerundolo is a really great clay court.
Cerundolo's really good on clay, yeah, for sure. So that's a good win for Cerundolo, and actually he might go pretty far here.
Right. I mean, it's not. Berrettini is. Yeah, I don't know. I think he gets past Berrettini this next round.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think he might even. Yeah, who knows how Rune's playing?
Rune is good on the clay though.
He is.
So that's going to be an interesting matchup. I would back Rune on that one.
Okay.
I gotta say, Medvedev has not a bad draw.
Yeah.
Honestly,
until the semis.
He can make that. He can at least the quarters. I would say I would favor Rune against Medvedev on the quarters, but I could see Medvedev making the quarters here. So yeah, so players of note here. I think we have quite a bit of good clay court players. Well, actually, we haven't mentioned Alexander Zverev. He's really good on the clay too, though he likes the more faster clay.
He hasn't played yet.
So he's still there. I think he's playing Bublik. Is that right? Yep. He's playing.
Oh, that's going to be interesting for Medvedev to deal with if he...
Yes. Ooh, that could be a round 16 match, right?
Medvedev.
Yeah. Medvedev and Zverev?
Yeah.
I don't think... I would favor Zverev in that match.
If he's
if he's healthy, and I think he is.
I think he's moving well.
Yeah, I mean they played very close in Indian Wells, so on the clay, where Zverev moves a lot better than Medvedev, I would back him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's the top section. And any other players that we should mention here on this side before we move on? Dominic Thiem, he's playing Rune NX.
Yeah, let's see how he does. I'm excited for him.
Yeah,
he has a good chance to prove himself. But
good win against Gasquet.
I don't know. I mean, Gasquet hasn't been playing well either.
True, but he would have been losing this match just a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So that is something.
Yeah, we saw some of those highlights. I don't know. It seemed normal play.
Yeah.
A lot of loopy shots.
He had a good win against Shelton, right? But Shelton's never played on the clay, so I don't know what we can take stock in from that. Yeah. He got crushed in the next round. Who did he lose to?
I think another person, Roberto Baltisagut, he's stellar clay court player too.
Actually, he's not that good on clay.
He's not?
No, he's one of the few Spaniards that he's better on hard courts and grass courts. He's pretty good on both of those. He's not bad on clay, but it's his worst surface of the three.
Oh,
which is interesting.
I thought he was pretty good.
No.
No.
He and Carreño Busta are the two Spaniards sort of fall outside of the norm.
Carreño Busta is pretty good on clay.
No, he's much better on hard.
He's much. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I guess
he's good on clay, but
the stats, yes, I think they're both. Yeah,
they're good. They're just not top clay
level.
Yeah, top clay players for me. For example, I would back, say, Cerundolo against Batista. Right now, I would back him against Batista Agut on clay, not on hard courts, but on clay. So yeah, I think those are kind of the biggest players of note from this section. I think Djokovic has a pretty good draw all the way until he has to face Sinner in the quarterfinals. So I think that match should happen. Want to go to the bottom half and see what's that looking like? So bottom half, we have the top seeds. On this side are Stefanos Tsitsipas and Casper Ruud. And one player of note here that is a guy who could be dangerous to make it far is he actually had a pretty good win against Greek Sport. Nicholas Jarry. I think he can really do some damage. I had him. Actually, I think I'm gonna pull up my predictions in a second, but I think I have him going far here, and I had him beating Coric. He did that today, 6-2, 6-3, really comfortably. So he's a guy to look out. And that would be a really good matchup because he is in the same section as Tsitsipas in the bottom, who's been, up and down recently because of the injury and bad form. But this is his tournament that he likes. This is the one Masters 1000 that he has won, and he is the two-time defending champion. He's won it twice in a row. So he might find his form. But I would really like to see that match if that happens. Some other players here of note. We have Diminar, who can play well on the clay, but not expecting him to get far here. And the other ranked player is Taylor Fritz.
And we have...
Who?
Yeah. We have Casper.
Yeah, I mentioned Casper. That I think that he's definitely... the favor from there. And then Rublev. That's the one that was missing. Rublev's actually pretty good. Rublev is really good on all surfaces, honestly. He's a little bit like Pegula on the men's side.
Sorry.
Pegula, Pegula is a little better comparatively in terms of ranking, right? She's always higher ranked than him, but they're similar in the sense that they can't really win the big tournament, right? They lose to the better player at the end. Rublev seems to be that guy to me. So
he's still there.
He's still there though.
Fifth seed here.
Yeah. So some players of note here in terms of clay quarters, a guy to watch. Alejandro Davidovich Fokina is in this side. He's on Rublev's little section, and he is the defending finalist in this tournament. He went to the final last year. He beat Djokovic last year in this tournament. So he's a guy to watch from this side. Andy Murray had a really bad loss against Diminar. So he was here in this section as well. But we have also, let's see, Stan the Man you mentioned. He's playing Fritz. He's got to be favored, right, in this match?
I'm going to say, yeah.
Former champion, Stan the Man.
Yeah, he's one of the few.
One of the few in this draw. He's one of 3, I believe, to win this tournament. In the draw. Djokovic.
Yeah.
Tsitsipas. Is that it?
Wawrinka.
I think that's it.
I think you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah.
So yeah, I would back Wawrinka there, and Grigor Dimitrov is on this side. He's had a pretty decent year. Nothing flashy, but he's been winning some matches. So he usually plays well on the clay. He always has 1 week a year where he returns to like the top of the game. So might be this week. Who knows?
You never know when.
I would also shout out to Leheshka, who's been on the rise this year. He's been playing really, really well. I would have said the same about Grigspor, but he already lost to Stan the Man. But I don't really know how well he plays on clay, so we'll see if he does anything. I think those are the big guys from this side. You want to quickly do some predictions really quick?
Okay, let's do it.
You want to start?
I'll start. Yeah, let's start with...
let's do this side,
since
we're here.
I'm going to go Wawrinka plays Tsitsipas.
In the quarters?
In the quarters. I'm going to say Rude plays... Let's go... Yeah, I'm going to say Rublev. It's going to be seeds here. And then...
Rude and Rublev. Okay.
I think Rude is going to beat Rublev with his amazing forehand. And...
Rublev has a nice forehand himself, but not as good as Rude.
Yeah. And then... Yeah, I think Tsitsipas can pull that out. Okay.
So Tsitsipas in the semis?
Tsitsipas in the semis. Man.
Against Rude?
Usually a stand, man. Yeah. Okay. No, against Rude. So Rude then beats Tsitsipas.
So you got him in the final?
I have Rude in the final.
Okay.
Rude is hitting his forehand. What about you? Let's see.
On this side, I have Alejandro Davidovich Fokina.
Oh my goodness. He's going to come back?
He's going to come out of that section with...
We didn't even talk about him yet.
Who is he? I did mention him as the finalist. He was there.
There we go.
So I went for him on this section, the Rublev section. I got Casper as well. I also have Stan the Man.
Ooh.
I do have an upset, though. I do have Nicholas Jerry beating Tsitsipas.
Wow.
So I got a Jerry...
A Jerry.
A Jerry?
So many Jerrys. Actually, there are, right? Or Jerry.
And this is too confusing. The Chilean Jerry.
Okay.
Then we have... So, yeah, Nicholas Jerry against Stan Wawrinka on the bottom. And then on that top side, on the bottom half there, Casper against Fokina. Want to go to the top?
Let's do it. Okay.
Actually, I should say who wins in that section.
Oh, yeah, who wins?
Okay, so I got... Let's do next round. I have Rude and Jerry making the semifinal.
Ooh.
And I have Casper making the final. So we both have Casper.
Oh boy.
One week does. Just 1 week, and we really have changed. Casper being the best player in the world.
We would not have picked this.
No.
Based on
I
that.
probably would have picked him to lose first round if I didn't see his run.
He hasn't even played his first match yet.
Yeah. Just watch him lose the first round.
Yeah, man. Yeah, he could lose
that. He could lose that. I think he's already lost to Van de Sandschulp this year. So that's tough.
It's going to be a mental battle there. Yeah, okay.
Top half. Let's do it.
Top half. Okay, we have...
Oh, I have to change one pick. So already one of them is gone.
Okay. Okay, bottom half is going to be interesting because I did not think of Zverev, and I think he's going to be a major factor here. I'm going to go Zverev plays Medvedev, and then Rune plays Cerundolo. Rune beats Cerundolo, and then I'm going to go Zverev.
Zverev and Rune?
Update. The upset against
Rune.
Medvedev. Against Medvedev.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got Rune and Zverev, quarterfinal.
And I'm going to say Zverev beats Rune, yeah.
Okay.
So Zverev to the semis. And then on the top half, this is going to be interesting too, because I'm going to say Kuzmanovic is going to play Djokovic. It's going to be a good battle. Djokovic comes out on top there. I'm going to have Jack Draper play Sinner. Sinner beats Jack Draper. Sinner also takes out Djokovic.
Okay.
It's going to be one for the record books.
That would be a huge statement if he does that.
I know. It's so slow, right? This court.
I mean, Sinner plays really good on the clay, so
yeah,
I don't think this bothers him.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah. And then Sinner plays from the bottom half Zverev.
Okay. That's the semifinal?
Yeah. What about you?
Who wins that, though?
Oh, we're going to finals.
You got Casper already in the final.
I know, I do.
So who's in the final with him?
Ooh, Sinner.
Sinner and Casper. Okay. So I'll do my top part. So let's do the bottom part first. I had Cam Norrie already in my fantasy draft. So listeners, if you haven't done your fantasy, it's too late at the moment. So I will do a better job on social media to announce this. It's actually closed earlier than I expected. I didn't even expect to close so early.
Get mine in.
But I had Cam Norrie going into the quarterfinal, so I will replace him with.
Wow, Cam to the quarters. Nice.
Well, not that nice because he already lost. I'm going to replace him with Rune.
So much faith in him.
So I got Rune and Zverev.
Okay.
And then I got Djokovic and Sinner.
Oh, wow. So Medvedev comes out, crashes out early.
Well, Medvedev in the bottom part. But yes, but the answer is yes because I had Fokina instead of. And then semifinals. So your semifinals were Ruud, Tsitsipas, Sinner, and Zverev, right? Mine are almost exactly the same. The only difference, so I had Jerry, Ruud, I have Zverev, and I also have Sinner beating Djokovic.
Oh my gosh.
You and I are just disrespecting Djokovic left and right. Just watch Djokovic just blitz this field.
It's not about disrespect. It's just...
I just think Sinner's that good right now.
He's playing good.
Yeah. And I think form is going to carry him. I hope he's healthy. I hope he recovered from that final. But I do like his chances. So we got Sinner, we got Zverev, we got Ruud and Jerry. I had Ruud in the final, right? So I have Sinner and Ruud in the final, just as you. And just as you... Well, you haven't said who won.
No.
Who wins?
Casper Ruud.
Casper!
Whoa.
Okay. I'm going to go Sinner.
I mean, I was going to go, but I don't know. Yeah, it's a 20.
If Sinner beats Djokovic and loses to Ruud, I mean, come on.
I mean, that's what he's been doing, right?
True.
He just lost.
Yes, you are right. You're right. I think you're actually making a smart pick. Yeah, no. I'm gonna stick with Sinner.
I should. This is probably like my same mistake I did with Indian Wells. I chose I think I chose Sinner also to win the whole thing, but he didn't win, and.
You picked him for both tournaments.
Yeah, he's in that good form.
Yeah, I mean, he almost did. He just ran into Alcaraz and Medvedev.
I might have to switch this. I mean,
You gonna go center?
Yeah, I mean, we've only seen 1 week of Rude, and now I'm just thinking he's like
the best player in the world right now.
Yeah.
That forehand, man.
Yeah,
this is all I can think about right now.
It's the forehand.
It's his forehand.
Okay, I'm gonna have to switch. I mean, center. It doesn't make any sense to pick Rude right now. if he does, it's gonna be. I'll be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, part of the reason I'm picking him to make the final is because he's in a pretty good side of the draw. He managed to avoid Rune, Djokovic, Sinner, and Zverev.
Yeah.
So the biggest threats that he has here is probably Fokina, based on the results last year.
I don't. Do you see that happening though? I mean,
no.
Yeah.
So just based on the section that he's in, he makes it to the final. But I do think that whoever makes the final on the other side, like if it's Djokovic,
and there's some iffy play. I mean, we don't even know how Tsitsipas is doing right now. Really.
Though I do think if Zverev somehow makes it to the final, then I back
could be
Ruud. I do back Ruud on that one. I do back him on this surface, on the slow Monte Carlo clay. Mm-hmm. If it was Madrid, I would go Zverev for sure.
Okay.
But I think Sinner gets it done.
Well,
at some point, he has to win a Masters 1000.
Yeah.
I mean, Nori has won a Masters 1000. Hurkacz has won a Masters 1000. I mean,
it'd be great if
he
has a great.
I'm not going to say the other one because this is part of the
warm-up match against Schwartzman. So maybe he just takes a few rest days. This will be another practice.
I'm gonna be so pissed if Schwartzman wins this match after I shed on him.
The bracket is busted.
Busted right there. No, I think he wins that easy.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because very well Djokovic could win the whole thing. We don't know.
Yeah,
but he's probably secretly practicing very, very hard. He's in his hyperbaric chamber.
That's what he does. People forget about him, and he just comes back and just wins everything.
Yeah.
Okay,
well, that was fun.
Yeah, that was fun. I am super excited for Monte Carlo. I'm super excited for the clay. I hope Nadal comes back and we could talk about him.
Oh my gosh.
And looking forward to hopefully seeing a Djokovic-Alcaraz match at some point during the clay. But for now, let's wrap up. We want to do a few final things. Let's do some trivia. Monte Carlo trivia. Let's put you on the spot. So, in terms of tournament history, let's throw some tournament history facts as well for the listeners. So, defending champion, obviously, is Tsitsipas, 2-time defending champion. Most titles, Rafa and Nadal, right? Mm-hmm. Just because Nadal is so present in this tournament, in terms of the history, we do have to do a trivia on Nadal. But I'm going to do something different today. I'm going to give you 2 questions, and I'll let you choose one to answer.
Okay.
For the win. For
the win.
For the win of the trivia. Okay. So there's first 2 questions, right? So the first one related to Rafa is so Nadal has won this tournament 11 times, as we said. He has defeated 8 opponents in doing so.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Oh gosh.
So the question for this one would be, name 5 of those opponents, and I'll give you 3 strikes. So that's the first question.
Okay.
Second question is, Nadal has won this 11 times, right? Mm-hmm. Now, there's other players that have won this tournament since 2000 that are not Nadal. There are 7 of those.
Wow.
Can you name similar 5 of those? 3 strikes for that. So I'll repeat both questions. Nadal has defeated 8 opponents. Can you name 5?
Okay.
So that's 5 out of 8. And then there's been 7 non-Nadal players to win this tournament since 2000. Can you name 5? And similarly for each one, I'll give you 5 strikes. Which question do you want to answer?
I'm going to go who beat Nadal, just to make it harder, I guess, because I actually...
Well, it's not beating Nadal. It's just that they've won the title and it hasn't been Nadal.
Oh. Okay.
So there's 7 players that won this tournament since 2000 that has not been Rafa Nadal.
Right.
So there's 7 of them. Just name if you name 5.
Oh, no, sorry. The one that Nadal has beaten, right?
Yeah. So
okay, I'll pick that one.
Okay. So there's 8 opponents. If you name 5, and you have 3 strikes.
Okay. I'm already on a bad start, but let's see. I'm gonna say Djokovic.
Yes. He's beaten Djokovic twice.
I'm gonna go Federer.
Yes.
Wow, I'm in a good start.
Those were the easy ones because they always make all the finals too. Now let's go to the
now
real.
It's gonna get real hard.
The real ones.
These are at the finals.
Yes, he's defeated 8 opponents in the finals, and the 11 times that he's won. What are 5 of those? You've mentioned 2. You got 3 more to go. You still have 3 strikes.
I'm gonna go. Oh boy. Yeah, these current players, some that are still around.
We have a mixture of still around and retired.
Andy Murray. Oh. Let's see.
So you got 1 strike. You got 2 correct answers.
Dominic Thiem. Oh no! Oh god.
2 strikes. So take your time now.
Oh no.
You want some hints?
Okay. No. Yeah, I do.
You do want hints. Okay.
Let's
see what hints I can give you that is not too obvious.
Wow.
1, 2, 3. Okay, so 3 of them are also Spaniards.
That makes sense. Ferrer.
Yes.
Oh gosh, David Ferrer.
You got 2 strikes. You got 3 correct answers. You got 2 more to go.
2 more. Oh man.
2 more Spaniards. The other 2 are not Spaniards. You want the
2 more not Spaniards. Okay.
Well,
are they good at clay court? I guess so, because they get to clay.
Not necessarily.
Oh gosh. Okay, I'm gonna go Spaniards here. Let's see. Who else is really good? Oh gosh. Are they current players or pretty old?
The Spaniards,
Yeah.
we have 1 current, 1 retired.
Retired.
Oh, no, you haven't said none of them. Oh, you said Ferrer already.
Yeah, I said Ferrer.
Both current.
Both current. Okay. Oh, they're alive. I mean, as in
Are you killing these players?
No, as in they're currently playing on the tour.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, I might lose this challenge or this trivia.
There's 2 non-Spaniards. Do you want some hints for those?
Sure, why not?
Okay. This is tough because okay. One of them has never won a Grand Slam, but has reached a Grand Slam final. The other, what can I say?
They're currently playing?
Yes. If I say there's an obvious hint that if I tell it to you, you're going to know the player. So I'm trying to think of something not too obvious. The other player, no, I can give you the country as well for this other one. French.
French. Have they won a Grand Slam?
No.
Man, I'm not gonna get this one.
No?
I'm gonna go one. I'm gonna try to go for the
Spaniards.
The Spaniard. I'm gonna say
It's gonna be tough. I'm just gonna tell you right now. Okay, I'll give you another hint for the Spaniard. One of the Spaniards played an absolute classic Grand Slam match with Nadal once.
okay. I do know who this is then.
Who is this?
He's a lefty.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Who is
now
it?
I can't remember his name.
I already gave too many hints.
This is Verdasco.
This is Verdasco.
Yeah.
Yes. You got 4. You got one more.
Heartbreaker. Loses like the best match he's ever played in his life.
That match was absurd.
That was one of the best ever.
The fact that Nadal actually won the next match, like,
yeah,
how?
I don't know.
How did he do
These
that?
are superhuman beings.
This is ridiculous. Okay, so you got 3 more left to go.
Three more? No.
You got 3 more options.
Oh,
one more answer.
One more
to go.
answer.
Yeah.
Oh,
3 more options. Still one Spaniard. Okay, I'll give you another hint for the Spaniard. For the last Spaniard.
Mm-hmm.
This person had match point against Carlos Alcaraz last year in a Grand Slam match to win a huge upset. It would have been a huge upset. Had match point
in a Grand Slam.
In a Grand Slam.
Oh, I can't tell you. It's a Spaniard.
I'll tell you. Spaniard. I'll tell you. Remember?
Wait. Spaniard. Okay, I'm just gonna guess, but I don't remember the match point. Carreño Busta?
No.
Don't. Oh, I failed.
You failed,
okay,
but you got close.
Who is it?
Ramos Vignolas.
Oh, that's right. I do remember that.
French Open, second round.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
He choked.
He did choke. He was playing crazy good that day, though.
Amazing.
I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
Wait, really? He got to the finals of...
Yeah, in 2017. How did that happen? Monte Carlo.
He's sneaky sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, he's a great clay court player, but there's just so many good players on the Masters events.
Is he not in Monte Carlo?
He might be.
He's probably in there somewhere, huh?
Maybe he's hurt or something.
Yeah.
Or maybe he didn't qualify. Yeah, maybe he didn't
there.
qualify.
Oh, yeah, I don't see him.
So there's 2 other guys, right?
Who are the other 2?
The other 2 were Gael Monfils.
Ooh, French. He's so French.
He's so French. Yes. But you wouldn't think clay Monfils, right?
No.
He's not bad on the clay, but
he's fun
good.
to watch on clay.
Yeah. But his like memorable matches for me have been on hard courts. The majority.
But
but he's good on clay.
Yeah.
The other guy was just kind of a surprise is Nishikori. He reached the final in Monte Carlo.
Nishikori.
He did that.
I mean, he's a good player.
Yeah, he is a good player. So those are the 8 guys.
If he's healthy.
So just for fun for the listeners, I'll do the other question as well. We won't do it as a trivia, but I'll just say.
Oh no, why not?
Oh, you want to do it as trivia?
Let's do it. We'll do it fast.
Let's do a fast one. Okay. I just no strikes or anything like that. Just try to guess.
Okay, let's do this.
So non-Nadal players to win Monte Carlo since 2000.
Okay. Wawrinka.
Yes. 2014.
Djokovic.
Absolutely. He's done that in 13 and 15. Beat Nadal once to do that.
Okay, I might lose this, but Federer never won this one, did he?
He did not.
He never won.
Yeah, this is one of the 2 Masters he hasn't won.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Yeah, he lost to Wawrinka in that final, which I thought he was gonna win.
I know. That was the one shot that I thought this is the moment to do it.
He was playing amazing.
Yeah. But Stan does this.
Stan the man.
Yeah.
It's
a very obvious one.
Well, there's Tsitsipas.
Right.
And
so that's 3.
There's 3. Wait, how many do I need?
7.
Oh, that's why I picked the other one.
I'll give you a hint. So 3 of them of the 7.
Ferrer.
3. No.
Oh.
3 are retired.
3 are retired.
And then 4 are current. Okay. They're active. So you've said 1, 2, 3 actives already.
Since 2000?
Yes, since 2000. Not including 2000. So 2001, etc.
2001.
The only reason I did it that way is because the 2001 was a weird guy.
Was Nalbandian?
No.
Guess that was before.
So you're missing 1 current and then 3 retired.
Oh man, 1 current. Oh. Current. Oh, Davidoff. No, he went. He got to the final.
He got to the
He
final.
lost. Yeah.
You're not gonna
Murray?
believe. You're not gonna believe the current.
Murray
No.
never won it. I already guessed that. I think.
Which one did he? He won a.
Oh yeah, he's not even.
But he won. I think it was. Was it Rome that he won? He won. He won one Masters on
Was
the
it
clay.
Zverev?
I think.
Does Zverev
No,
win it?
Zverev has not won this one.
Yeah, that we just. Man.
This is the only one of the 3 that he has not won of the 3 Masters on clay.
Yeah, there was an oddball. Someone else won it.
Very oddball. Yep.
You're right. I can't remember. Okay, let's think of the other 3. So they're retired, like
Retired.
recently?
No.
Oh.
They won that. So the 3 that are retired, they won it before Rafa won his first.
Oh, okay. Korea?
Yes, 2004.
Yeah.
That was the year before Nadal won his
love
first.
Korea. Guga?
Guga. Yes, Guga.
Okay. Agassi?
No.
I'm going to say Carlos Moya.
Nope.
Let's see. Thomas Muster.
Nope. There's a pretty obvious one that you're not thinking about.
Really good clay quarter, huh?
Very,
Retired.
very relevant right now.
Relevant. In what way? In the media?
I don't want to like completely tell you. But very relevant right now.
Oh. He's retired.
Yeah.
Recently retired?
No, not even close.
Not even close. Oh, gosh. Ferrero.
Ferrero, of course.
Juan Carlos.
Yes.
Hey,
Juan Carlos Ferrero.
I definitely should know that.
He's won it twice, actually.
Yeah, it's Juan
02
Carlos.
and 03.
Yeah.
So you're missing 1 current player that has not won it.
And he never beat.
Oh, that has
Nadal,
won it. Sorry, he actually did beat Nadal in this tournament, not in the final though, but he did beat Nadal.
Oh. Yeah, Ferrero was amazing. The Mosquito.
Yes.
I'm missing one more.
One more. Who beat Nadal? Wait, you're talking Ferrero beat Nadal? No, he didn't beat Nadal.
No.
The current player. Yeah. The current player that you're missing beat Nadal to win this title, but he beat him like in the quarters.
Yeah,
or
not
something.
in the finals, right?
Not in the finals.
No, I'm talking about who's won the whole thing.
Yeah.
But how many more do I have?
Just one.
And he's
Current. Yep.
And I should know this.
No, this is actually very difficult. You're probably not gonna get it unless I give you hints.
Okay, give me another hint.
Italian.
Oh.
Your face.
No. Well, the first Italian that came to mind was Berrettini.
It's not Berrettini.
It's not Berrettini because.
Has Berrettini even won a Masters 1000?
And he got the final Wimbledon. That's good enough.
He's played really well at Grand Slams, but I don't remember him being great at Masters. But yeah, it's not him.
Fognini? That's right.
Can you believe Fognini won a Masters 1000?
No, I can believe it. Actually, he's sometimes like amazing on clay.
Yeah. So
yeah, he has had some really good battles against Nadal too.
Yeah.
Well, that was really fun.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
It took a lot longer than I anticipated.
Guga, Ferrero, Coria, Djokovic, Stan the Man, Fognini, and Tsitsipas are the 7 players that have won Monte Carlo
pretty good list
since 2000 that are not named Nadal.
These are great clay quarters.
These players combined have won less Monte Carlos than Nadal in this time, which is absurd in 20 years. So,
man,
that's how good Nadal is on Monte Carlo. And the 8 players that he defeated were Ferrer, Coria, Federer 3 times, Djokovic 2 times,
3 times,
Verdasco, Ramos Vignolas, Monte, and Nishikori. So yeah, that's your trivia. That was fun.
Oh.
Next week, it's your turn. Well, not next week. The following. When we do... Well, I guess it would be next week. Whenever we do the draw for Madrid.
We'll come up with something.
So maybe we should wrap up here.
Yeah, that was fun.
Let's do a quick recap, or not recap, but preview of what we're going to do next week. So next week, we have results for Monte Carlo. We'll talk about that. And we'll do a quick preview of the 2 500s for the men and the women. The men are going to be playing in Barcelona, where Alcaraz is the defending champion. And the women will be playing in Stuttgart, where Iga is the defending champion. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well in the next show. And with that, do you want to do the closing?
Yeah, if you like what you hear, please subscribe to us on your favorite podcasting app, so we can receive all. You can receive all the new episodes as they come live. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and most other major podcasting platforms. Please, leave us a rating and review. So we'd really appreciate that to make our podcast the best it can be. And we're also on Twitter and Reddit at Point by Point Pod, and on YouTube at Point by Point Tennis Podcast. And with that wraps up our session of the Point by Point Tennis Podcast.
Yeah, this was fun. Great. Fans, remember to also participate in the Fantasy League on TNNS. We'll have that also on our show notes for the episode. Right now, I think we tied last week, so we have a pretty good competition going on.
It was close.
It was close. It was close. No, you won one. I won one. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You won the ATP. I won the WTA. So let's see who went. Well, this week you couldn't put it in, but that's TNS's fault. Let's blame them. They closed it too early. But we'll see how it happens next week for Madrid. So thanks for listening, everybody.
Yep. Thanks.